hello there, all you stay tuners.
And fuck the Eagles. I hate the Eagles. Don't get me wrong here.
First quarter, keep it even. Second quarter, start running the fucking ball. Third quarter, take a power nap. Fourth quarter, oh shit, there's the rest of the game. Let's go.
Fuck it, I'm a diabetic. I will root for the team that will literally give me diabetes and death. Rooting for a team from Hershey is like a Catholic rooting for Satan. It doesn't make any sense.
This is Stay Tuned Sports, and it starts in 3, 2, 1.
And hello there, all you Stay Tuners. Welcome back to another episode of Stay Tuned Sports. It's your good friend Jimbo here, back. Gonna just do a quick show. King's not here today, but we're gonna try to put something out, me and him tomorrow. But there is some things that I could talk about. There's some Philadelphia Eagles news that happened this past week or so, as well as some Phillies news. With baseball, starting spring training back up. Bryce Harper talking about, possibly redoing his contract. So, as far as that, we'll just jump right into it. So Bryce Harper was talking about, working on a contract extension, basically. And he's only 5 years into his 13-year contract that he signed with the Phillies. And it seems like a lot of people are split down the middle on this. Some of them want him to play a couple more years into this contract. And then the other side is, some people say, maybe we should extend him, lower his cap, maybe, things like that. Me personally, this isn't just for baseball. This is all sports. I hate when players still have more than 2 years left on a contract and say, I want a new deal. I deserve more money. If it's the last year of the contract, totally understandable. You want to get that done, get that out of the way, so it's one less thing you got to worry about. But especially with Bryce Harper here, 5 years out of the 13 of the contract, he already wants an extension. Now he's been every bit of the player that we hoped he would be when he signed. Back-to-back years, got very close to winning the World Series. The only way I would say I'd be okay with them reworking the contract now is if they have plans to that they need him to rework that contract so they could go back out and sign a couple other players that would better the team. I don't know if they could get any better than what they are right now. And like me and King talked about last week or the week before, baseball's a long season. You could play terrible for the first 2 months of the season and still win the World Series, still make the playoffs. Look at Trey Turner. Trey Turner was looking like a bad signing last year for the first 2-3 months of the season, and then he turned around and he turned out to be an okay signing so far. So I don't like how they're already talking about reworking the deal. Now, if you're afraid it's going to take you 8 years to work something out, well, then fine. Yeah, sure. But come on, man. You still got 8 more years of this contract. Play and if you wanted a better deal, you should have thought about that 5 years ago when you signed with us. And same thing goes with the Phillies. If you want to rework this deal because you don't feel it's good for the team, well, you should have thought about that 5 years ago when you signed him. So, in the end, we all know how this goes. May not get done this year, but within the next year or two, you're going to see him get extended. He's going to get a new contract, get probably more deferred money or something like that. Sticking with Philadelphia Sports News, it was reported that Hasson Reddick. First, it was reported that Hasson Reddick asked for a trade, for permission for a trade, which Philly then said, yes, go ahead. You could look for a trade. When I first saw this, I was like, oh, crap, man. You know, like, he's been very productive for us since we signed him as a free agent. Back-to-back seasons with double-digit sacks. Probably would have been a lot more sacks last year if he didn't have that thumb injury in the beginning of the season. Because it seemed like once that cast came off, that's when he just came out and caused hell. And he was probably the only consistent player on that defense that showed up. Do I think he deserves more money? Yes. Do I think it will get done, or will he get traded? Here's the thing. I don't think he's going to get traded. I think this is more of a Philly said, you know what, go see what deal you could get. I really think Philly wants to keep him. He's already came out and said he never asked for a trade. He understands this is a business. He wants to stay in Philly. He wants to end his career in Philly. Kind of saying all the typical PR stuff. But I do legit think he wants to stay here. And I think he does deserve top 5, linebacker, defensive end, however, edge rusher, however they want to classify him. I think he's a top 5 edge rusher. So he deserves a pay raise. He definitely does. The problem with it is I think Philly is not in as good of cap shape as they were. They got Devontae Smith they got to pay within the next year or two, coming up. A.J. Brown's contract is coming up. Dallas Goedert is contracts coming up. So there's a lot of contracts coming up that Howie's got to figure out who gets paid and who gets let go. If another team does say, hey, we'll pay you top 5, we'll pay you more than Philly will pay you, Philly better get a second round pick, if not a first round draft pick. He's a very good edge rusher. He's been very consistent, even back before he joined us. That's why we signed him. I hope, and again, I hope that we don't trade him. I hope we keep him. Because Nolan Smith, this will be his second year coming up. We still don't know what he completely has. We only saw him a couple times last year. When we did see him, he played well. I thought. But I don't think Nolan Smith is as disruptive as Reddick. Brandon Graham is a free agent. He said he wants to come back. Do you pay him and keep, and go with just Nolan Smith and let Reddick, walk or, trade him away? That defensive line, I would like to see keep as a whole. I would bring Brandon Graham back. He's still productive as a part-time player, if you want to call him that now. I think our defensive line didn't play that well all season because of the defensive scheme. You cannot be dropping back Josh Sweat and Hasson Reddick, your two best defensive line guys or edge rusher guys, in coverage. And have them going up against Christian McCaffrey or George Kittle. They're just going to lose every time. That's not what they're known for. So, with our defensive line coach that we hired, first off, he's a big mother you-know-what. I like the quote. He said, hey, you won't see any of his guys from the defensive line dropping back in pass coverage. Love it. I like our hiring of Vic Fangio. I think that's definitely going to help out the defense. A lot of rumors that he might be bringing some of his players from the Dolphins. Hopefully it's the ones that are ready to work and not the ones that want the nightlife. That's why they didn't like him. And give a quick shout out to Vangio. He's a Pennsylvania boy. He's actually born about 20-25 minutes from where I live. LaKellen Moore signing for OC. At first, I was not happy with it. I mean, you saw that offense kind of got stale in Dallas. And you got to question why, even before the Harbaugh talk got involved, why he wasn't considered for the head coaching job with the Chargers. But as the more I read, the more I took a step back. I'm just keeping an open mind with the offense. Hopefully, Jalen Hurts can get back to his MVP style. Hopefully, whoever's reporting that there was issues in the locker room, that the locker room lost faith in the coaches. Adam Schefter came out and said that he texted one of his sources, and the source said absolutely there was nothing going on in the locker room. There was no problems, no nothing like that. So hopefully, maybe it was just the Super Bowl hangover. And next year we could get back on track. I watched a little bit of Good Morning Football a couple days ago, I think it was. Maybe it was like Friday or Saturday. And they released their predictions for their top 5 teams that will make the playoffs. And I think only one person, I forget who it was, had Philly returning to playoffs. Which, it's going to be tough because every year, you look back in the past 5-10 seasons, every year there's only maybe 1 or 2, maybe 3 teams that make it back to the playoffs. The rest are all new teams. So hopefully Philly's one of those teams that makes it back. As far as sticking with the offensive side here, I definitely would like them to see them to re-sign DeAndre Swift. I think he's a good back. I mean, when we ran him, he was getting 4 or 5 yards a game, but that's the problem is our offensive coordinator did not want to run the ball. I don't want Saquon Barkley. I like the idea of Derrick Henry coming in. I think that's the one thing that we missed last season was that power back. 2017-18 season, you look at that running back crew. You had LeGarrette Blount. You had Jay Ajayi. You had, I think Boston Scott might have been there at that time. Corey Clement. LeGarrette Blount was our bruiser. And that's what Derrick Henry is now. He's not your every down back no more. He's at the back end of his career now. So I'm sure he wants to go to a contender, which Philly's right there. As long as the price is right, I would like to see us sign him. And I think that would definitely upgrade the running game. So, I mean, that's my take on the Eagles, State of the Union, if you want me to call it that. NBA All-Star, that was a freaking joke. The game was 211 to 196 or whatever. Like, just they are, and hopefully, if me and King record tomorrow, I'm gonna get his little opinion on there. Which one is worse? The NBA All-Star game or before Peyton Manning took over the Pro Bowl? Is the NFL Pro Bowl worse than the NBA All-Star game? And you guys can chime in too. Head over to our X account at ST Sports Podcast and let me know what you think. Do you think the NBA All-Stars worse than the pre-Peyton Manning Pro Bowl? Or is the pre-Peyton Manning Pro Bowl worse than the NBA All-Star game. But I think that's going to be it. Nothing really else going on. I don't want to talk about the outdoor game until King comes on. We did have a good time. I did not get beat up. I was very proud. I was very happy with that. But it was a good time. So I think until the next time you see me, hopefully it will be with King and we'll be doing our regular show. I may try to do a Saturday night fight night. Hopefully this time it will work. It should work because it's a ESPN UFC fight night, so it should be on ESPN Plus. I won't have to worry about trying to figure out where BKFC is working, which not, because I know ESPN Plus works on my Fire Stick. And maybe I'll do our round around predictions, how I thought some fights went. So make sure you tune in. If you're watching this on YouTube, please subscribe and like our videos, and make sure your notifications on so you get a new video when we upload it. So till next time, this is your good friend Jimbo, signing out.